Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to have your soul shine? It's time for the Girlfriend Hour. We're so happy to have you here, and we can't wait for you to meet our incredible guests. But first, please put your hands together for our wonderful host, the enigmatic Shar.
Hey! Welcome to the Girlfriend Hour, where we have casual conversations with incredible humans. Today we're going to be chatting with some hugely influential and wonderful women change makers, driving action, rallying support, and improving women's lives everywhere. Cheerleaders making it their mission to see other women succeed and reach their potential. And we'll shine the light on an amazing non-for-profit that needs your support. But first, I want to talk about the Juggle. Does anyone else feel like they're constantly spinning multiple plates? Did you know that a recent UN report on the world's women found that since the pandemic, women are still doing the lion's share of housework? We are volunteering and getting involved in our local communities more. We're feeling the crush of increased pressures at work and are still paid less than men. This constant struggle puts a strain on our health, our mental well-being, and our relationships. It's an incredibly lonely path, but we persevere. But do we have to suffer in silence? What is the solution here? I mean, we all know it takes a village, but what if the village is tied up with their own stuff right now? Then what? Ruthless prioritisation? Radical candour? Often it's as simple as just asking for help. But how can we manage to support each other through the constant feeling of overwhelm? I don't have all the answers, but if there is one thing my guests today all have in common, it's their ability to get stuff done. Through thick and thin, they're juggling it all. Let's find out how they're doing it. And as always, we want to hear from our audience by tuning in on YouTube. Please, if you love what you're seeing, please share a link with friends and hit the subscribe button. Now, a title that you don't come across very often on LinkedIn is Optimisation Queen. But our next guest has claimed it, and boy, does she live up to it. Genevieve Searle is a holistic wellness mentor, teaching her clients and anyone that is lucky enough to come into her orbit how to find and follow their soul mission. Sign me up. Please welcome to the Girlfriend Hour Lounge, Genevieve Searle. Gosh, doesn't she look amazing? Go, girlfriend. Look at the pose. I love it. You look divine.
Dress up's my favourite thing.
Tell us about your recent level up. I think that's the first thing we need to dive into because it's so recent.
It's so recent. It's literally, I sent a message to Shar, I'm not that woman anymore. Major transformation, yeah. So I went from being a wellness reclamation mentor and rebranded pretty much, still the Optimisation Queen, but went to wellness, life and transformation mentor.
And how did that come about?
And specifically for women who are here for more. So women who have something to bring to the world, women who are like, there's something itching, burning in me that I need to do. But to do that, we need to go from where we were to where we need to be. And in that process, we have to level up at all levels. So yeah, for me, the last 6 months has been probably one of the most transformative experiences of my life. And when we were I was writing Illuminate, and it was coming down to the wire, and I'm thinking, I'm so not illuminated. And I'm trying to write this chapter on being illuminated, and I was like, I've got nothing, so I'm like, really not. But in the process of actually speaking to you and your beautiful team, and yeah, it just caused me to go within and recognise how much I've been able to show up and step up into some of the most challenging experiences of my life. Yeah.
Gosh, I think we all need to level up sometimes, don't you? Yeah, absolutely. In our recent Feminism magazine, you shared your diagnosis and what the diagnosis expressed about your subconscious fear of being in your fullest expression. I'm so fascinated by the mind-body connection. Can you just talk us through how this manifested, how this inspired your interest in holistic wellness?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was diagnosed with something called spondylolisthesis and scoliosis. So it's a bit of a roller coaster in my spine. And that it was just a thing, like it wasn't, but it wasn't super debilitating. It wasn't, wheelchair binding, but it definitely meant that I had some issues, particularly with things like circulation and feeling the full energetic flow. I've done a lot of work with ancestry, and I do a lot of that with my work. It's working with our ancestral lineage as well as our own genetic wiring. And what I feel for me was that was actually a subconscious choice that my younger self made to compress my full feminine force in order to keep me safe. Because let's face it, I don't know if the world has really been ready for the Optimisation Queen before now.
I don't think it has been.
So yeah, there's that piece where we go, I feel like women do this a lot in particular. I think we all do it. I think as a culture we keep ourselves suppressed a lot, and women especially. And so to be big and bright and shiny is not okay. We've been burnt for that. So, and we hold those memories in our cellular DNA. We carry those stories actually as little tags imprinted onto our DNA.
It's fascinating, isn't it, that it's within us all. Every time something happens, it's a tag. Yeah. And it stays there until we work with you, really.
Yeah, there are ways. there are ways. Yeah.
So your early life was certainly peppered with its fair share of trauma, but you very consciously made the decision to explore the path of wellness and invented in many different approaches to reaching the best version of yourself through your self-work. What's been the most pivotal learning so far?
Definitely the two pieces of epigenetics, which is essentially how we're in constant relationship to the world around us. So everything in our world, the lighting, the food we eat, thoughts we think, the movement we do, the hours we keep, the relationships we have, every single part of our lives is having we're in dynamic relationship with that, and we're constantly evolving and changing and adapting, and our bodies are constantly preparing for what it's assuming will come. And yeah, so this is happening at a DNA level. So learning that piece, and then also learning that those stories and those experiences of our ancestors can be passed down through epigenetic imprinting. So learning then about the ancestral pieces and the stories of the people who, the shoulders of the giants that I stand on, that we all stand on, our whole lineage is written into our bones. It's written on the pages of our body. And also learning that while this is the foundation through which we come into the world, we're not necessarily predestined for anything. We always have choice, and there are pathways for growth and evolution. But in order to grow and evolve, in order to go from this person to this person, we first have to understand where we began, how we're wired, where we've come from, the experiences we've had, the environment we've grown up in. We know that. And we work with that, then we can expand ourselves into growth and step forward into the newer version that we want to be.
Oh my gosh. I seriously want to be signed up at that. How cool is that? That's just amazing. And I was saying on the way here today that I feel like I'm nearly X amount of age, and I feel like I was born for now. I was born for this time. I was born for this moment, this connection, this show. And I think that you mentioned that, we go through all these changes and evolutions and there's pieces of us that it's like that puzzle, right? And we're always evolving and learning and growing. And then we're never done until we're done, until we're, 6 foot under in the dirt, and then that final piece of the puzzle gets put on. So people like you allow all of us to find those pieces, remove those limitations and limiting beliefs and imposter syndrome, which we've talked about before on the show. Running your own business, what's been your biggest challenge and greatest achievement to date? Oh, so many, right?
The biggest challenge has been realising that I'm not wired like anyone else and proven strategies don't work for me. They just don't work.
I remember someone saying to me once, Shar, you really need a business plan. I need a what now? My business ideas come at 3 a.m. There's no person to write my business plan at that time of day.
Totally. Yes. I was voice messaging at midnight last night. Don't tell my epigenetic mentor. It's like so not okay. But it was so many failures and so many frustrations, and also the idea that it has to look like this, and then tapping into my 6-month transformation. I've actually felt like I've been belted by the feminine with this giant selenite rod, and she's just like getting me out of my masculine and into feminine flow and surrendering into that and letting go of the belief, the idea that it has to look a certain way, because it doesn't. It doesn't.
No.
So that's been definitely the biggest challenge. The biggest accomplishment is like, hello. This is a bit fun.
It is.
And meeting you, so I was in the second magazine. I was in the second magazine, and then that led into
lots of things.
So many things, including a TEDx talk that I released at the end of last year called How to Thrive in an Era of Uncertainty.
Me to watch it. It's amazing, amazing, amazing. Well done.
Again, all prior planning was thrown out the window when I got this full, you need to speak of this. Okay? Guess we'll just speak of that then.
And Genevieve, in one sentence as we wrap up, how would you describe what your girlfriends mean to you?
I've sat with a girlfriend this morning, and I know there's a girlfriend in the audience here. She is, and all of my beautiful sister queens, I'm surrounded by queens, and all of those women meet me with love, leaning into the depths of our souls with love and a belief in our own magnificence. We see each other in their shining, and we hold them to a high standard.
Oh, does everyone want girlfriends like that? That's gorgeous. Thank you so much. Please don't go anywhere. We're going to continue this conversation in a D&M in a moment. All right, let's talk side hustles for a second. I meet so many women who have the most wonderful ideas and passions to help move them into earning their own money. Some of these ideas are toiled over for years, but many never see the light of day. Poor cash flow, lack of confidence, other commitments to family or job seem to all block their ability to follow their entrepreneurial dreams. Well, our next guest, the gorgeous Alexis-Jane, has created her own business that helps women overcome all of the trappings to start their own successful businesses. For any woman looking to learn how to truly hustle their way to freedom, Alexis is your woman. Let's give a huge girlfriend hour welcome to Alexis-Jane. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. All right, I have so many questions for you. Are you ready?
I am. Always
Thank
ready.
you for coming on our show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, Please tell us a little about you, but how did you end up where you are currently and some of those pivotal moments? Because a lot of us have those little breadcrumbs, those little pivotal moments, sliding door moments, and I'd love to hear what yours are.
Oh, where do I start?
When she was one. No.
Well, my big pivotal moment that really got me into business was when I went through a separation with my ex-husband, and there were so many different layers that went along with that, with family and so many things. And on that journey, I went through deep, deep, dark depression. And whilst I was going through deep, dark depression and I was holding my stress within inside my body, my appendix almost burst. And then not long after that, I popped my shoulder out and my shoulder needed to have a shoulder reconstruction. And I was like, just doesn't feel right. And then I sat on the floor crying and I just looked up. I'm like, help, I need something, give me something. And I found a 2-day life coaching or life development situation online. I was like, I'm going to jump in and do that. So it was a 2-day event. Then I got sold into a 7-day event. And from there, I found NLP, kinesiology, hypnose, timeline, all of the things. And it really showed me that I could have an inspiring future. And I didn't actually understand what that meant until I was in that room.
Wow. And it's sometimes that we don't actually know what we need, but it often does find us if we're open and willing. Has anyone else found that? Like, it's sometimes you just put it out there and all of a sudden it'll turn up in your life. And tell us about cracking the fear code.
Cracking the fear code. So that was one thing that I had to make some big, bold moves and do things that really felt super uncomfortable to me, things that I knew that were going to help me get to the result that I desired. And my background's been personal training, hospitality, sport, and I'm very results driven. So doing things that really stretched me to get to where I really wanted to get to. And that was really starting my own business and finding the way and investing in myself. I heavily invested a lot of money into my personal development, into life coaching, into business coaches to help shine a light on the things that I needed to learn to be able to build my business.
Amazing, amazing. I love the quote that you've shared with me previously. I'm the girl who jumps and finds her wings on the way down. Where did you find the courage to just dive in head first and trust that you'll figure it out? Is it something you've always had, or is it something that you need to constantly work on?
I think that it's something that I've always had, but I do also need to work on it. I've had friends in my world say, I don't know how you do what you do. You working here and then you're working there. Now you're starting a business. Now you're doing this with your business and this is happening. I'm like, well, we only have one life. So I just leap in and say yes to so many different things that scare the poop out of me. And, and I just find my wings on the way down. And if it fails, it fails. If it works, it works. And at the end of the day, everything's just a learning lesson. There's no failures.
There aren't any failures. I love that. And there's a book called, there's a book called Failing Forward, and I don't know who wrote it, but Failing Forward is amazing. As long as you sort of keep moving forward with it, it's not a failure, they're just lessons. Now, like so many women, you experienced a traumatic end to your marriage and found yourself grappling with how to move forward on your own. How did you approach this, and is there any advice you'd share with other women who might find themselves in a similar predicament?
Be gentle with yourself, be kind, and allow yourself space to really slow down and figure out what it is that you truly deeply want and desire without rushing and forcing and pushing to do something because you think that you need to. And listen to yourself. Listen to your intuition. Listen to what your body is telling you, because your body and you have the answers already inside of you. And allowing yourself to...
Can we give a girlfriend a yes to that one? Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Through your work, are there any common themes that you've identified with women that set them back? What do you think some of the biggest challenges facing women today?
The biggest challenge that I find with my clients is their confidence in putting themselves out there. Their work's phenomenal. The results that they get with people that they work with is phenomenal. They work with people for free and those clients get amazing results. But when they go to ask for the money, it's a challenge for them because it's such an easy thing for them to do. It's so natural and normal for them to have a conversation and to transform somebody else's life, but to get paid for that. And that was one of my biggest challenges as well, was to get paid for the work that I do by having a conversation with somebody and transforming their whole lives. And I've witnessed clients after one conversation with me within an hour going create thousands of dollars just through clearing the energetics that are inside of them. So that's probably the biggest thing, is confidence and taking those big, bold moves.
I love that. And who's been one of your greatest mentors?
I must say, you have been one of my biggest.
That is not on here. That is not on here.
I do go back to when we did some work together, and you taught me a lot in me having to ask for certain things and asking my clients for things and mirroring the work that you do. And you're the first person that came to mind when you said that, when you asked me that question. But yeah, that you were one of my biggest. Yeah.
Okay, you can go now. All right. What daily practices do you employ to stay positive and on path? Because it's not always easy, right? Something will happen at home or in our life or with a relationship, and it can bump us off course. So what are the things you do religiously every day to say, no, that's where I'm going, that's my goal, how do I stay going that way?
Journaling. Journaling's one of my biggest things. So I actually created a program at the end of last year, and I had quite a few people come to the program going, I hate journaling. And by the end of it, they're like, I love journaling. Well, because if you don't
how many people journal? Is that a thing that's done? Yeah, look at that. Heaps of people.
When you don't actually understand what journaling is, like when I first heard about journaling, I thought it was Dear Diary. This is what's happening.
And the boy at school was mean to me.
Pretty much. But then once I actually understood how to do journaling properly and do a brain dump and get all the noise out, it didn't need to make sense. I'm having a coffee, I need to go to the bathroom, there's birds outside, I can hear whatever that it looks like. It's 4:30 in the morning and I've decided to get up at stupid o'clock. Whatever those words are, just allow it to flow through. And then asking, the pivotal thing that shifted and changed for me was asking an intentional question. So it could be, what do I want my day to look like today? Who do I need to talk to today? What's my higher self saying? And then because you've got all the noise out of your mind and you ask yourself an intentional question, the answer just flows through you from your higher self, and you're like, whoa, I didn't know that was inside of me. And then you kind of set and forget, and the intention that you set for the day, by the end of the day you look back and go, oh, everything that I wrote down in that question
has magic.
It's like magic. Yeah.
I love that. And Alexis, as we wrap up today, can you tell us something that one of your girlfriends does for you that just means the world?
One of my girlfriends, she just knows when something's off. Even if we haven't spoken for months, she'll message me and say, I know something's wrong.
I have one of those. And I have lots of those, but one in particular I'm thinking of.
And so, so she messages me and then she unpacks it with me, and it's beautiful.
Isn't that gorgeous? Please don't go anywhere. We're going to have a D&M. All right. Remember when you're a teenager and your girlfriends and guy friends would ask you to have a D&M? Well, it was so easy when we were kids for some reason. But as we get older, we tend to shy away from being vulnerable and getting deep. I mean, any male I know would just about do anything to avoid those two words. What's that? You want to have a deep and meaningful? Oh, yes, but I just need to finish cleaning the bathrooms first. And I think the cat needs its nails done all of a sudden. Well, there are some topics that deserve to be brought to light and discussed. It creates immediate empathy, support, and the ripple effect of those two things can be felt far and wide. And so this segment looks to do just that. Let's talk about the juggle, girls. The juggle is really real. How do you do it? The old saying, if you want something done, give it to a busy person. Agree or disagree?
Agree.
Agree? Tell us why.
Well, I just know for myself, when I have way too much time on my hands, nothing gets done. But when I've got everything back to back, I'm just like, okay, needs to get done, needs to get done, needs to get done. I go, oh, I've done so much today.
And what about you?
I have one of those incredible men in my life that does not fit that category. I'm actually surrounded by incredible men who are totally killing it and happy to go deep, and I'm unbelievably supported by my now used to be 20 years partner, who we've evolved into being now allies, lovers and business partners. And that was part of, I actually buried that relationship at the beginning of the year only to have it evolve into something completely different. So we've gone through a complete evolution. So what I would say is actually give it to a busy person, yes, maybe, or it's like, who's on your team?
So how much is too much? The expectations we place on ourselves and other women these days is incredible. Social media has not helped with this. Constant pressure to be perfect, parent feeding their kids nutrient, dense, organic, home-cooked food, being glass ceiling shattered leaders in the workplace, fitness influencers on the weekend, volunteering for the P&C, running the best. Oh my gosh, it goes on and on and on. How much is too much?
Yeah, again, I feel like tapping into that piece that goes, what am I actually here for, and what do I actually need to be saying yes to? And again, I'm giving ourselves permission to say, do I need to be those things? Is that actually for me, or am I just following that because it's the proven strategy? And maybe our rules are different. We're all uniquely wired.
And what do you think about saying no? It's okay, isn't it? Say no sometimes. I love you. Not right now. My dance card is full is my favourite saying when I get asked for some things and I don't dance that well. What about you? What do you think?
I agree with what you've said as well. And saying no is one of the biggest things that I say a lot to people now is, no, it doesn't feel in alignment with me. And if it doesn't feel in alignment with me and it doesn't feel good within my body, and and as I said before, like I tune into my body to what says yes and what says no, and you get a full body reaction, and you know that when something's triggered you and you get that like moment, you know that it's not right for you, or you need to go deeper into understanding why your body did what it did.
How do we break this unrealistic expectation cycle, though? Do we just switch off social media? No Facebook?
Oh, this is so my jam. So one of the things I do with epigenetic profiling is actually gives a unique profile of how we are wired. So hormonally, we have these dominant hormones that develop during our life, and it shows up in how we grow, how our brain works, and it shows our unique genius. So when we learn what our unique genius is, it validates us to be able to step back and say, that's actually not where my genius lies. This is where my genius lies. So it's incredible permission piece to actually be authentically ourselves. And particularly when our loved ones or the people around us know that about ourselves, it's completely game-changing.
I love that, and it's so true, and it's okay that we say no as long as we say it from a place of love and maybe give a little bit of an explanation sometimes, but actually sometimes it's okay just to say no. What do you think, Alexis?
I agree. Yeah, coming from a really loving, kind, powerful place and owning your truth, owning who you are and owning what it is that you truly deeply want and desire. And sometimes it may upset somebody when you say no, but it's, you've got to look after you and your emotions and your feelings.
Definitely. So, and turning social media off, what are our thoughts as we finish up? What's the thoughts? Airplane mode.
Mode's bomb.
Yeah. Because we can constantly look at it and compare ourselves. I know I do it, and I'll go back today and see what everyone said and thought, and then we give our power away, don't we? Correct. So sometimes it's okay to say, you know what, I had a go, did my best, and that's okay. And we retain our power that way. These two ladies have been amazing. Please give a warm welcome. Thank you to Alexis-Jane and Genevieve Searle. Thank you so much for being on the show. Okay, ladies, it's time for a little bit of fun. Who's ready to take a little spin in my flower garden? There are some fabulous prizes up for grabs. Here's how it works. I'm going to pick an audience member to come down and take a spin of the wheel. And where the wheel lands will be the prize that they win. Who would be up for that? Now, who can I see in the crowd that's giving me lots of love? Who wants to be down here? Pick it! Come on down. You were jumping up and down and didn't think I'd pick you. Give her a round of applause. Hello, what's your name?
Mia.
Mia, nice to meet you. Say hi, Mia. Hi. All right, Mia, tell us, have you brought a friend with you today?
Paige.
Paige? Is Paige keen to come up and play? Come on, give Paige a round of applause. All right. So tell us about you both. Tell us a little bit.
Like where we met?
Yeah, where you met, how old you are. Well, maybe not how old you are. No one wants to reveal that at any age, do they?
We met at swimming.
Met at swimming, okay. And you're both still in school?
Yes.
Yes, and you're wagging today? We won't tell.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
I love that. All right, so what are some fun things that you two get up to?
I do musical theatre.
Oh, musical theatre. So you are the future. I love it. And what about you, Paige?
I do like netball.
Yep.
Yeah.
Excellent. So what are some goals? Tell us some goals for life.
Otherwise going to the Olympics for swimming or even like on stage.
Oh. Go you. What about you, Paige?
I don't really know.
Can't top the Olympics. You'll find it. Don't worry, you've got plenty of time. I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up, so it's all good. All right, are you ready to have a spin in my flower garden?
Of course.
Okay, give the wheel a big spin. Now, what number would you like to land on?
1.
1, the grand prize. Okay, give it a big spin. Let's all put energy into 1. Woo! Oh, it's not a booby prize. You've also won a candle gift pack. Congratulations. Yay. And thank you both for coming to play. And we'll be back right after this.
Are you loving the Girlfriend Hour so far? We hope you've been inspired by the wonderful women you've seen sharing their stories. Do you have an inspiring story of your own to share? We're looking for magic just like yours. Be featured in Feminism magazine and start your own exciting media journey. Join many other fabulous women who've been profiled in Feminism magazine. Unlock access to an international audience, propel your career and expand your network. Make today the day you back yourself. What are you waiting for? Visit feminescence.com.au to find out more.
I'm so honoured and privileged to be sharing a stage with our next guest. This woman is an inspiration, a change maker who redefines the concept of leadership. She lives and breathes her values and rallies so many to do the same. Founder of Share the Dignity organisation, Rochelle was an Australian of the Year finalist, Cosmopolitan Humanitarian of the Year and Pride of Australia recipient. Ladies and gents, please put your hands together for the wonderful, the awe-inspiring Rochelle Courtenay. Hello. Thank you for coming.
How exciting is it to be here?
So excited to have you. The work you do truly matters. Okay, I want to congratulate you on the remarkable achievement that is Share the Dignity. Can you share a little bit about your organisation and the many initiatives since it came out?
Yeah, Share the Dignity is a charity that I started in 2015 when I read an article that talked about how there were 48,000 women in Australia without somewhere safe to call home. But what I read next changed me and changed Australia forever, that they were using socks and newspaper and wadded up toilet paper to deal with their period. Here in Australia, the lucky country, I couldn't believe it, and I was actually embarrassed that I'd never thought what women would do if they didn't have access to sanitary items. So at that stage, I had my own personal training business, and I asked all of my clients to bring me a packet of pads or tampons for every wine they had in the month of March 2015.
Oh, gosh. I wonder how many.
Who else would be bringing me bags? Because that's what they were doing. They go, don't count them, just take them. Thank you. So we collected 450 packets of pads and tampons.
Hopefully not from one
Not
client.
all, no, half probably. But and we had a little collection box, and it was a reflex box actually at our local school. But it was not like it was giving a woman a pair of shoes or a warm jacket, right? It was a monthly problem. And the problem was so much bigger than I ever imagined, because we have our drought-stricken farming communities, our remote Indigenous communities, and poverty on such a rise that people can't afford their electricity or their rent and food and fuel. So, you know, buying sanitary items has become a luxury for many Australians who live one paycheck to the next. So since we started the charity, we've now collected 3.4 million packets of sanitary items. that we distribute to 3,000 charities around Australia, and we have these incredible people that we call our volunteers, Sheroes and Heroes, who are the backbone of Share the Dignity. So if you donate in Bundaberg or Bendigo or Broome, those donations stay in that area and they go out to all the domestic violence services and the homelessness shelters and those dealing with poverty to help them at that time.
Oh my gosh, what just an amazing. Now, every woman has different experiences with their periods. And I know that you've shared your experience suffering through endometriosis and experienced very heavy periods yourself. In recent years, I've started to notice more and more women are talking about endo in particular. Why do you think they feel more comfortable now than ever before to do that?
Yeah, I hope that Share the Dignity's played a role in that. I know I'm an absolute oversharer. So I've shared my endometriosis struggles. I've shared my hysterectomy, a partial hysterectomy, then a full hysterectomy. I don't think we ever talked about periods, right? So when I first started Share the Dignity, there wasn't a picture on the internet with people holding pads and tampons. Only Courtney Cox and that ad that was way back in the day. Now there are thousands of pictures of girls at netball carnivals donating pads
Riding
and tampons.
horses, bareback on the beach.
Yeah, in our white bikinis.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just changing that narrative and making sure that we share the stories. I don't think that, when I went to school, I was never taught that the pain that I was going through was normal. So I never spoke about it because there was such shame and stigma, right, around periods. So if we don't talk about it, then we're not sharing. It wasn't until I wanted to fall pregnant that I realized that I had endometriosis and that was stopping me from falling pregnant. I just thought the painful periods that I had were normal because no one ever talked about it. So, so I'm really happy with how we're progressing on the line of removing that shame and stigma and opening conversations, because 1 in 8 of us suffer from endometriosis. That's a big number for Australian women. There's so much that we need to do there. Doctors need to spend more time studying it, because if 1 in 8 men were coming down with something, they'd be studying that a little bit more. So I think that there's a whole scope of work that needs to be done. I don't think if I hadn't suffered severely from endometriosis, would I have ever started a charity and be known as the pad lady? Probably not.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's relative.
Yeah, absolutely. I know one quote that serves as one of your guiding principles is the standard that you walk past is the standard that you accept. How did this resonate in relation to how you were moved to period poverty? Yeah,
look, when I read that article, I thought that you could either jog on and keep reading other articles, or you could do something about it. And I just think that the standard that you walk past is the standard that you accept, right? And I think that's with anything. If you see somebody, struggling in the car park and you're not helping that mum with a growth, just be kinder. We can all make a difference. I think that's really important. And I think that if you're not part of the solution, then you're part of the problem.
Yes, 100%. And Jacinda Ardern, Prime Minister of New Zealand, in June last year made sanitary products free to be stocked in schools in a bid to beat period poverty and improve attendance. Is there anything similar being lobbied here in Australia?
Yeah, look, we're really excited that we're part of removing the GST on those luxurious sanitary items that we all paid 10% GST on, right? So that was removed after a massive campaign to remove that GST in 2018. So on the 1st of January, that 10% GST was removed. We went straight into making sure that no girl missed out on a day of education because her parents couldn't afford sanitary items. So we started to roll out dignity vending machines into schools around Australia, homelessness shelters, hospitals. Now, you can get a CAT scan, pain relief, and your head sutured, but you can't get a pad guaranteed if you turn up in hospital and you've got your period. It's not acceptable here in Australia, but we don't talk about these things, right? So we have just secured a $13.7 million deal with the Queensland Education Department to roll out access to sanitary items in all schools, which is super exciting. Every school. So every school in Queensland, primary school, secondary school and tertiary education will have access to sanitary items. But what I'm more excited about, I'm excited that they'll have access to sanitary items, but there'll be a new education program installed in all Queensland schools that educates boys and girls. Because if we continue educating the way that we have, there's such shame. We don't educate boys. Boys end up being somebody's husband, boss, father, and they have no actual information around menstruation.
Yeah.
If you don't get your period, you come from somebody who does, right? So why are we not sharing that information?
And
so
sometimes we need to send our men out to buy pads, which I've had to do on some occasions.
Absolutely.
Because it's an emergency situation. I might have been wearing white pants that day, and they need to know what to look for, what to do, what to buy. They don't want them coming home with the big overnighties.
Well,
not cool, people.
and ultimately, if they're not educated on that, then we're not doing our job as parents and as educators. So that's really exciting, that Period Talk, which is these 6 sassy kids, 2 of them are boys, delivering the program to kids. Now, we funded it about 5 years ago, and now it's rolling out in all Queensland schools. So now we want it to happen in every state. Each state has done some big headlines on we're going to provide sanitary items in this state. But in some states, when you dig deep, it's like $3.68 per student per year. That's okay if you only bleed once a year. Well, that would be nice, right?
Oh, my gosh. Now, Rochelle, for anyone else thinking about embarking on a journey of social justice or charity, what's some advice you can give on the first steps? Because I know when you started this journey, you learnt on a curve like this.
Little did I know that in order to have a charity that collected pads and tampons, and we collect in March and August, collection boxes go out in every Woolworths store around Australia, but also about another 1,000 stores like Commonwealth Banks, and whether it be a florist, a hairdressing, they go out everywhere because they are advocating for change. They're being part of the solution, and their voice is just as important as those donations. I would say to anyone, my biggest advice is surround yourself with amazing people, because I never did this ever on my own. I am always surrounded by people with skill sets in areas that I don't have, and just take people's help and talk to as many people as you can, because if you can learn from somebody else's mistakes, then you can avoid them yourself.
Fast track it. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And since 2015, when you started first collecting and distributing pads, you've amassed over 6,000 volunteers, garnering support at such a scale. It's no easy feat. How did you do it?
Again, I just surrounded myself with amazing people, but I also had a vision board. I still have a vision board. That vision board in 7 years, obviously I do a new one every year. And I have 3 main goals for the year, right? They're very different and they change all the time, but I'm very clear with what I need to do to be able to get the charity to where my job would be to retire. We only exist because the government doesn't do what they need to do. So I ultimately hope that one day Share the Dignity doesn't need to exist. But until then, I've got a really big job to do, and I just need to surround myself with amazing people and be really steely focused on what my tasks are in that job.
And we'd love to hear, like, spinning all the plates between business, family, all the rest of it. How do you do it? Because every time I track you on social media, stalk you, you're everywhere. You're Canberra, you're Melbourne, you're here, you're there.
Yeah.
How do you do it?
But you have to be, right? You have to be. I went to a Swifts netball game yesterday, and speaking at the corporate box beforehand, I then spoke in front of QBE, and a man came up to me at the end and said, I had never, ever contemplated that would be an issue for any woman. Thank you for sharing that story. So it's about always being in as many rooms as you can be in, because once you hear that a young girl has had to steal socks from a laundromat to deal with her period because she's living on the streets, you can't unhear that. And we're part of this problem, right? If we can donate, we can fix this problem. If we can donate in March and August and we can get donations out to the charities that are working with these women, we are part of the solution. We can make this problem go away and then tick off something else that needs to be done.
How do you balance it all? Family, like on planes,
bits and pieces. Around? Well, for some parts there's not a lot of family or friends time, but for me, friendships and my family and my work is all like bank accounts. When you deposit into them, you deposit really well, and sometimes you're going to have to take withdrawals. So I think Share the Dignity's bank account from me is quite full. And it's just about having good balance and structuring your time, because the most valuable thing that anyone has got is time, right? Which is why I say to our volunteers, I'm so appreciative of them giving their time. But my time is about family, friends, share the dignity. They're all massive passions of mine. So I never feel like I'm ever working or, I could never spend enough time with my grandchild with another one on the way as well. But, I've got work to do.
I know the feeling.
Yeah.
I've got a few and another one due soon. I can't wait.
That's life's rainbows,
Isn't
right?
it, right?
Grandchildren are life's rainbows.
Someone told me once that your children are your money in the bank, but your grandchildren are the interest on the money. It's always so much sweeter.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I love that. Switching gears a little bit. Brene, Drew or Ellen, who would you most love to have to dinner and why?
Oh, probably Brene Brown. I just love to listen to her voice.
Yes. I know,
I just
that
love
Texan
her voice,
accent.
right? I just love it. Yeah, but I love what she stands for.
Yes.
I mean, that whole piece about being in the arena was so important to me at certain stages of the Share the Dignity. Once you put yourself out there, there are so many people out there who want to throw the tomatoes in at you. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, just go off and do what you need to do because I'm really busy.
Exactly. I love that. I love that. So we're going to jump into a fun section now called Time Out.
All right.
Has anyone else missed the excitement and wonder of travel these past couple of years since the pandemic has left us grounded? I certainly have, but I'm a next level kind of travel crazy. My friends know this about me, but I actually don't go anywhere without my passport and a spare pair of knickers in my handbag, just in case I get the urge to get on a plane and go wandering. Seriously. These past couple of years have been so challenging, knowing I can't just take off on a spontaneous trip. And so, as borders open, we're getting more excited about travelling. I'm going to be asking you today to share your tidbits on travel, memorable experiences, favourite places to go, hilarious mid-flight stories, you name it. Welcome to Time Out. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Rapid fire questions. Okay, favourite city?
Venice.
Oh, favourite airport?
Brisbane, because then I know I'm home.
Bidet or no bidet?
No bidet.
No bidet.
No bidet.
What is top of your travel bucket list?
Greece.
Oh.
With my girlfriends for our 50th, even though our 50th was all during COVID.
Belated.
Yeah.
Famous in-flight encounter that you can share on a TV show?
I don't have one.
Oh, you don't have one yet?
Boring.
Okay. Most awe-inspiring landmark?
I'd have to say the Colosseum in Rome. Yeah. Eiffel Tower. I don't know. There's so many beautiful places that I've been so lucky to go to.
Lost luggage loan?
I don't have one. Never had one.
Wood.
Touch wood.
What's your favourite foreign word that you can say on the show?
Vino.
My kind of girl. Yeah. What's your biggest first world problem?
Oh, ironing?
Ironing? I think we could all relate to that.
No one should buy those clothes that require ironing in the first place. Who am I? It's me who's creating my first world problem, though.
Do you send postcards?
No.
No. Strict schedule or go with the flow?
Go with the flow on holidays.
Totally.
It's a complete opposite to my normal life.
Do you stay friends with people you met on travel?
Yes.
Yes.
Facebook friends and then stalk them for years, even though I've not even met them once.
Who at home contacts you the most while you're away?
My daughter.
Yes. Best shopping?
Oh, I'd have to say Miami.
Do you look at photos that you've taken on the trip of dolphins in the water and things that were really good real life but don't come up well on camera?
No, I used to be a photographer before I started Share the Dignity as well. And so photography is my absolute passion. I took a picture of at Positano and blew it up into this massive 2-meter image in a white frame, and it is so beautiful. Everyone says, oh, who did that? And it was taken from my iPhone. Wow. It's amazing.
Wow. What's been the most interesting item of food you've eaten whilst travelling?
I had a bruschetta in Venice that changed my life forever. It was the best thing I've ever
That'd be
eaten.
a great book title. I know a publisher.
It was the best bruschetta ever.
Oh, really?
Best thing I've ever eaten in my life.
Oh, wow. What's the worst food you've ever had on a trip? Or worst?
Oh, I don't know. I'm so picky with food.
Random thing
I just think in America, anything that it's just such big, deep fried meals.
Yes.
I'm a fresh, clean kind of eater.
And what's the one thing you miss the most while travelling?
my bed.
Your bed.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Please help me give a beautiful thank you and warm love to Rochelle Courtenay from Share the Dignity. You've been amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The Torch is dedicated to shining a light on lesser known topics, organisations or even events. There are so many incredible people in our community doing wondrous things and providing a voice for those that may be marginalised or in need of extra care and attention. And the Girlfriend Hour is all about helping support and raise awareness of these initiatives. Before we introduce our next guest, I do want to share that some topics may be triggering for some. We will be discussing topics related to child sex trafficking and sexual abuse. And so if this could be too distressing for you, it might be best to go grab a cup of tea or a wine for 5 minutes. Okay, so our Torch guest for today is the wonderful Paul Mergard, who will share the work of Destiny Rescue. To ground you all in some stats, over 1 million children are exploited by sex trafficking, and 70% of these children are trafficked from the Asia-Pacific region. $11 million is generated by sex traffickers every hour. This is a huge issue and one that Destiny Rescue is on the path to defeat. Please put your hands together for the incredible work of Paul Mergard and Destiny Rescue. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. What you do matters so much. Let's just dive straight in. Please tell us how Destiny Rescue got started.
Yeah, Shar, 21 years ago this year, Tony Kerwin, who's our founder, was in Thailand and overheard a conversation between two men about what they could do with a girl for $400. And Tony is one of the most passionate advocates for kids around the globe that I've ever met, and went to start this organisation called Destiny Rescue that over the last 21 years we've rescued over 9,000 individuals from sex trafficking.
Tell us the objectives and goals as an organisation as a whole.
As an organisation, we simply exist to rescue children that have been sexually exploited and help them stay free. It's really no more complex than that, but actually it's quite a complex work. We will go into bars and massage parlours and establishments. We operate along the Nepal border, trying to identify where children might be that are being exploited, being sold and being used for the gratification of men and women, just for a few couple of dollars.
Can you tell us about some of the brave women that Destiny Rescue have helped? How has your organisation helped to turn their lives around?
One of the things that we do, Shar, once we rescue a girl or a boy, but predominantly girls, is we take them through an individualised pathway to freedom. And that involves trying to find, how do we get you back onto a road that's actually reclaiming your destiny? So we've got some girls that I've just recently heard a story of. They ran into one of our rescue agents, actually our international director of rescue agents. He was walking in the markets just near Bangkok airport just a couple of months ago. And these two girls came running up to him and he's like, what's going on here? Because he was in an area that was a bit more of a red light district. And these two girls came up to him, hugged him and said to the people that were with him, this is the guy that we've always talked to you about. Our rescue agent, I won't use his name just for security purposes, but he got a little bit concerned because he recognised the girls, knew who they were, and was concerned that they'd gone back into the sex trade. And he suddenly, as these girls started unpacking, he said, what are you doing? Why are you here? They're like, I don't know. You put us through training. We've become nurses now. We're working in the hospital just down the road, because what we're about is not just getting kids out of the danger that they've been in, but how do we reclaim the destiny? How do we get them on a pathway of going, that is not what I was born for. That is not what, I think about a parent. You think about a mum that has a baby. What mum ever dreams of the day that her daughter's going to work in a brothel somewhere? And so we set about trying to say to a girl, your worth, your dignity, your purpose on life, it is so much more than this. And we want to get these kids back on a pathway of finding a freedom and then really breaking the poverty cycle in their own world and their own families.
Just incredible work, and it really makes me quite speechless because I'm born in Thailand, Indian, and I was engaged at the age of 11 to 15, but I grew up in country Victoria, and so my path had been chosen for me until my stepdad stepped in and asked me, was this what I wanted? And so I was able to change that trajectory because of one person, and we've gone on to make a difference with girls in India and so that they don't become child brides. And living in Thailand, working in Thailand, we saw a lot of this happening. I worked in the hotel industry and spa industry, and often we'd turn up and there were little girls at the back door begging to come in and get support. And it's just, when you see it firsthand, it changes you. It changes you, and it allows you to put your life and the privileged life a lot of us do live into perspective. And when we have moments in business, and you'd experience this even in what you're doing, that we can start to forget why, and we start to forget what others are going through, and that's why the work you do is so powerful. You're such a case study for authentic leadership, Paul. You've truly lived your values by always bringing a focus on humanitarian issues, even through your roles leading teams in the corporate sector. Where does this sense of purpose and mission come from for you?
Yeah, well, thank you. I started off working in an accounting firm, trained as an accountant, and I think I got to the point of just thinking there's
You're
not a
far
life
too nice
than
to be an
this.
accountant.
I've tried to deal with that. I've had lots of counselling for that. But you know what? I grew up. My grandfather and his brother invented the sugarcane harvester, and in the 1950s and 60s, used to travel the world, India, South America, and whatnot. And I had an upbringing that showed me how other people lived. And in my early 20s, I spent a fair bit of time travelling in the developing world, and I saw things that I couldn't forget about. And Shar, I think, as you've just said, you know that once you find out about something, it's really hard to walk away from that. And I just remember sitting in a brothel in India back in the early 2000s, working with another organisation that were rescuing kids out of the sex trade, and I met women at the time who had been trafficked from the age of 9. And it just gripped my heart. Like, actually, women that had then been set free, women that I've never seen. I'd never met someone that embodied redemption like a woman called Anita that I met in India. And she was trafficked from the age of 9 from Nepal and ended up in a brothel and ended up working for the next 15 to 20 years. And Anita's a woman I think about nearly every single day, because she is now helping other women come out of the sex trade. But what I've seen embodied in her life, in her sense of redemption, I want to see that happen for other kids, because I've had 14-year-old girls. A couple of weeks ago, I was in Thailand. I had a 14-year-old girl sitting next to me in a bar. She's now free. But you look at these 14-year-old kids and you're like, this is not your destiny. This is not where you're supposed to be. And as an organisation, we are relentless to make sure that that kid and the next one that comes after them and the one after that all get free and get to that place of rediscovering who they're actually being created to be.
Paul, how can we support your cause?
Great question. We are passionate about raising up an army of rescue partners. We can only do that with the generosity of people around the world. We operate in 8 countries at the moment, about to expand into 12. But we are desperate to raise up an army of people that are prepared to partner with us with their finances to ensure that we can rescue a kid. It costs us $1,800 on average to rescue a child. And I know for a lot of people they can't do that, others can. But, you can partner together with your girlfriends, with your family, with other people around your life. We can make a difference. Our vision as an organisation is to rescue 100,000 people by the end of the decade. And so, Shar, I just want to say thank you for raising the spotlight on this issue. I know together we can absolutely change the lives of kids around the world.
Most definitely. And, I just think you're exactly why I created this segment called The Torch, because The Torch is all about shining the light on things that you may not know about and that we can actually make a difference. If 10 women get together or 10 men get together and it's $180 each, that's one child that goes home, one child that gets saved and gets to start their life. So I'm so humbled and honoured that you came onto our show today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
And that's a wrap on today's Girlfriend Hour. What an impressive bunch of humans we spoke with today. I hope you found some comfort in the stories of our incredible guests. I hope you also considered all that you do and give to your families, friends and communities. It is absolutely enough, and it's okay to ask for help. We all need to build up a network of supportive cheerleaders to help us navigate this busy, busy world. A huge thank you to our Girlfriend Hour guests who aren't afraid to get vulnerable and share their raw and unfiltered lives with us. It takes a lot of courage to bear all, but we're all so grateful for what their stories and actions teach us and inspire us. Thank you to Joseph Ribkoff for dressing me, Be Styled for Life, our major sponsor Feminism magazine, and our brilliant production crew for making our show possible. And thank you all for honouring me with an hour of your time. All right, girlfriends, until next time on the Girlfriend Hour. Woo!